To God be the glory.
Welcome back to our 13th lesson on Biblical Hebrew. We are on page 74 in our grammar book, now working on the present tense and learning a little bit more about the gender. Let's go to the screen now, the chart, and look at the various cal simple verbs that we have listed there on page 74. Once again, I'll be pronouncing these and work on your pronunciation. We were wanting to say I go, or I am going, or I do go. Of course, that's real awkward in English. We don't usually say that. In the masculine, we would be saying ani holek. Ani holek. And then just dropping down to the one right below that. If we want to say the same thing in feminine, a woman is saying this in Hebrew. She also would say ani holeket. Holeket. Notice that the accent is on the second to the last syllable here, and that would basically express the same thing. I am going, I go, I am going, I do go. You'll also notice that the first person singular personal pronoun, ani, is the same both for a man or a woman, and so they would both use the same word for the English I. Or if we wanted to say you go, you are going, or you do go, both in masculine and feminine. In the masculine, we would say that ata, holek, and then dropping down to the feminine right below that to say the same thing, you go, you are going, etc. We'd say at holeket. All right, and we drop down to the next two. If we wanted to say he goes, he is going, or he does go, or she goes, she is going, she does go. We were talking about a man who's doing the going. We would say who holek, and then the feminine would be he holeket. Holeket. That would be expressing she goes, she is going. All right, now in the plural, if joining with someone, we are go, or we are going, or we do go. In the masculine, that would be expressed anaknu holkim. And then in the feminine, that would be also anaknu holkot. Holkot. All right, then if we wanted to say you go, you are going, or you do go, both in the masculine and in the feminine, then that would be expressed in Hebrew, atem, holkim for the masculine, and then dropping down to the one right below that, that would be aten holkot for the feminine, talking about a group of women that are going. All right, if we wanted to say they go, or they are going, they do go, talking about a group of men that are going. Like we're wanting to say in Hebrew, a bunch of preachers are going out. We would say hem holkim. Hem holkim. If it was a group of women that were going out, and we were saying they go or they are going, then we would say hen holkot. Hen holkot. All right. Now you can certainly see, I hope, at this point that there is a definite pattern that we have. Having learned the feminine endings and the masculine endings, both singular and plural, then that has helped us in recognizing these various things as we proceed through these various lessons. Now memorize the above conjugation of the present tense. Strictly speaking, there is no present tense in Biblical Hebrew, but the idea of present action can be conveyed in various ways, all by using the same Hebrew word. Now from the list that we just went through, you can see that the idea of present action is expressed by using the personal pronouns with the appropriate participle. For example, when we were talking about I eat, say, or we eat, anaknu oklim, and that expresses the idea we are eating. And if you wanted to say she goes, then you use the the singular personal pronoun for she, which is he in Hebrew, holeket. So she is going, we would say there. Or if I'm wanting to talk about a group of women that are standing someplace, then I would use the appropriate personal pronoun for you, feminine plural, which is aten homdot, and that would express the idea of women standing. All right, the book has you to recite the present tense of the following verbs, natan and shamar and lamad and amar. And that's not an exercise that we'll go through together, but it is something that you do need to work on. Take some time right now, if necessary, and stop the tape and proceed and work on doing the present tense of those following verbs. All right, now let's go on there on page 75, number 2, where it says more about gender. It says, in Lesson 6, we noted that most nouns ending in comets he or in tav are feminine. Okay, that's something that certainly we know by now. Also, nouns indicating females are feminine, even though they do not end in comets he or a tav. For example, the word mother, M, obviously doesn't end in a comets he, it doesn't end in a tav, but a mother we know is going to be feminine. Or how about the word for Rachel, Rachel? That's obviously not a feminine ending, but nevertheless we know that it's talking about a woman, and so that would be feminine. All right, study carefully the following nouns. We'll go back to the chart here and look at these various nouns that say, first of all, nouns denoting organs of the body that come in pairs are usually feminine. Now that's the key. If they come in pairs, they are usually feminine. For example, hand, yad, and foot, regel. Both of those come in pairs, so they'd be feminine, right? Eye is ayin. Now that's kind of an easy one to remember. Sounds like our English word, doesn't it? Maybe we even got our English word eye from the Hebrew, but ayin is the word for that. And then the word for ear is ozen. Ozen. All right, we have 2 of those, and therefore that would recognize something that is feminine. Now in part B, the following parts of the body are also feminine, and this would be etzba, finger. All right, we have several of those. That may be why it's feminine. And brib is the sele. All right, and then the word for bone, just drop it down to the one right below that. That is edzem. And tooth is the word shen for tooth. Those are all feminine. And then this third category, most of the members of the body that do not come in pairs are masculine. For example, the word for mouth is pe, and the word for head is rosh. Nose is af, back is gav, and all of those, since there are not 2 of those, are all masculine. And some of us are thankful we don't have 2 mouths or 2 heads. That would be more than we could take. All right. Now there are some exceptions that we have that are listed for us just right below that, and that is that the word for tongue, lashon, and the word for belly, which is beitan, are feminine, whereas the word for breast, which is shad, is masculine. And that's something that we would have thought would have been feminine, but in Hebrew it's not. So these are just things that you're just going to have to learn, but the rule is for the most of the time, the majority of the time, is that if we have something that comes in pairs, then that's going to be feminine. Whether you're talking about hands, eyes, ears, and so on, feet, those will be feminine. All right, then we have another biblical word list. This is our third biblical word list of words that occur 500 to 5,000 times. And let's learn this particular word list. First of all, to give birth, yalad. Yalad. Obviously, you recognize Yeled for the word for boy, and the word for girl is Yalda. So this is based on that. The word to go out, Yatzah. Yatzah. I've often wondered, looking at that particular word, if maybe the game that we like to play called Yahtzee may have been a variation of this Hebrew word. Yahtzee sounds like a Hebrew word, and the verb Yatzah sounds like that. Maybe you can remember what Yatzah means, thinking of Yahtzee, going out, maybe the throwing out of the dice. And then to go, halak, halak, to go. To know, yada, yada. And if you look in your book, it looks like there's a little O up above the dalet there. That's just a glitch on the book. It's not supposed to be there. Yada is all that there is, so there shouldn't be a holum on top of the dalet if it looks like there is one, and it does look like that in some books. This is a word that is a very, very general word in Hebrew. It's used to refer to a number of different types of things, from knowing to recognizing. This is the verb, for example, that's used in Genesis chapter 4 when it says, and Adam knew his wife, speaking of sexual intercourse. And so it's a very general word that covers a lot of things, and in some cases it's a very, very important word. For example, Isaiah talks about how the people don't know the Lord. Even basic animals know their master, and they know where the manger is or the stable, but yet my people do not know me, and they ought to have known the Lord. And then the word to sit is a word that occurs often in the Hebrew Scriptures, and this is pronounced yashav. Yashav, the word for sit. All right? Now, when we talk about the various study hints that are given on the top of page 76, it says, memorize the present tense of halak, to go, and write it from memory and check your work with the vocabulary in this lesson. For the meaning of the term kal, go back to lesson 12. And we talked about the kal perfect, and we talked about the kal imperfect. Basically, we've been learning just the triliteral root, which doesn't express whether we're talking about a perfect or imperfect. That's something that has to be built on depending upon whether you're trying to express completed action or whether you're trying to express action that is not yet completed. And in English, that usually represents the future. All right? And then the book also encourages you to recite in the plural the present tense of kal verbs in the vocabulary. And then after learning the material on gender, thoroughly give at sight gender of the following. And also are some things that will have you work on your own. And then it also asks us the question, can you give the English for these parts of the body? If not, review the material in future lessons. Do not hesitate to refer to this material on parts of the body. And so you look through there, and for example, you've got off, and then rosh, that's head, regel, that's foot. The top of the next column, you've got yad, that's hand, and then ayin, that's eye, and so forth. So you can look at that, and you can see those are the type of things that you need to identify with these. Also, remember the biblical word list. Continue to stay on top of this biblical word list, because you'll be coming across these words again and again. Now, one more reminder. Strictly speaking, there is no special form for the present tense in Hebrew. In biblical Hebrew, the present tense does not exist as such. In modern Hebrew, however, the present tense is formed by using the personal pronouns with the appropriate participles, but in biblical Hebrew, that's not the case. All right? The next exercise has us to write the present tense in full of Yashav and Amar. Now, I've taken the time to get this prepared where we can show this on screen. I'm going to help you out a little bit and show you what this is talking about. And we'll answer this question on one of these together. All right, let's go and look at this. We're taking the word Amar, which means to say, And we're going to do the entire present tense for that. All right, beginning with the first one, we have ani omer. All right, I am saying, a man. And then we would say ani omeret. I am saying, a woman. That's the way a woman would say it if she's wanting to say, I am saying. The next one down, the second one, we got ata omer. All right, you are saying. It's a man that's expressing that. And then we have at omeret. You are saying. That's a feminine singular that's talking about one woman that's saying. And then the next one we have hu omer. That's he is who, so he is saying is what we would be saying there. And then he omeret, that would be she is saying. And then the one that's got three there right together, we're saying men are saying, or we men are saying, that'd be anaknu omerim. And then if it's a group of women that are saying, then it'd be anaknu omerot. And then dropping down to the one below that, if we want to say talking about a group of men, plural, are saying, then you would say that atem omerim. Recognize the masculine plural ending on that one. And then the one right below that would be aten omerot. Omerot. And that would, you're talking about a group of women that are saying something, and you're saying you are saying. Now, once again, recognize that we got the OT ending for the feminine plural. All right, the next one down, we have him omerim. Him omerim, they are saying, talking about a group of men, and they are saying, like they may be talking about a group of prophets, a group of men. They are saying. That's the way that you'd express that in Hebrew. They are saying. And then if a group of women are talking, then you would say hen homerot. I keep on wanting to get the emphasis on the may, but hen omerot would be the way that would be pronounced. Omerot. So that's giving you a little bit of hint on the beginning of that particular exercise in writing the present tense. Now what you need to do is you need to go back to the verb yashav and do the exact same thing that we just did with the present tense with the verb amar, to say, and do it with the verb to sit. Break it on down, do all of those various things that we've just talked about. And check your work, go back and make sure that you've got that work done correctly. All right, next is part B. It says, after studying the following list, carefully identify the gender and state the reason for using that gender and translate the list into English. All right, once again, let's go to the screen and we'll work on a couple of these together. All right, we've got menorah. All right, that would be what? Well, that would be feminine. We know that because of the comet's hey ending, and the word means lamp. All right, next, number 3, we'll drop down and skip every other one here. Yod. All right, would yod be masculine or feminine? Well, it would be feminine because it means hand, and hands come in pairs. Therefore, that would take a feminine adjective. All right. Then number 5 is the word lila. This would take a masculine or a feminine ending. Well, if you answered masculine, you were correct, because this is one of the exceptions. Even though it does end in the feminine ending, the comet's hey, this particular word, meaning night, is not feminine, but it is masculine. And because of that, we would have a masculine adjective and verb ending to go with the sentence that would include that. Now, remember with Lila also that part of that exception is extended when we go to the plural, because with Lila, night, if you're talking about nights, it does have the feminine plural ending on it, and so that's just one of those that you're going to have to work on. All right. Number 7 there is the word for house, and it also would take a masculine. Bayit is how you'd pronounce that, bayit, and that also is an exception. It looks like it might be feminine, doesn't it, because it has the tav ending on it. But as I've tried to mention all along, that sometimes when the accent is not on that last syllable or that last letter, then it might indicate that even though it has a feminine ending, it's most likely not feminine. And bayit, you can see that the accent is over the base. Bayit, the bet, excuse me, is that is not a feminine word, so that also is an exception. All right, number 8, we'll go ahead and do number 8 because we want to make sure that we get all the various possibilities covered. This is the word fe. It kind of looks like that might be a comment underneath there, but that is a segol. So pe is the word for mouth, and since we only have one of those, that would be a masculine ending. Number 9, regel. Regel is a foot. We have 2 of those, so that would be feminine. Number 10 is the word shin. That means tooth, and we have something in a great number of those. Most of us do. Some of the older students might be getting fewer and fewer of these shenim, the teeth, but our shenoth, it'd be feminine, and so that's what you would want to use there. If you're talking about white teeth, then you would use white in the feminine. All right, number 11 is the word for tongue. We've got lashon. This also would be feminine, and it's an exception. Even though we only have one of those, that still takes the feminine. And then number 12, rosh, is something that we only have one of, only one head, and so that would take the masculine. All right, now we will go to the board and do some of the work that is given there on the bottom of page. Wait a minute, bottom of page, yeah, we just covered the bottom of page 76. On the top of page 77, we continue looking with the various cases that have, it says, give the correct form of the adjective. This is a good exercise. It'll be worth your working on, because once again, always in your translating, you want to make sure that you align the adjectives with the appropriate nouns. And so here they're giving you a choice between one or the other, and we'll go through some of these together and talk about which one is right. All right, let's take a look at those. Top of page 77. All right, the first is the word ish. Well, you have to say an adjective with that would be masculine or feminine. Here are the 2 choices that they give us. Would it be sa'ir or would it be se'ira? Well, ish is masculine, so sa'ir is the correct answer there. All right, let's go back to number 3. We've got the word yad. All right, is yad masculine or feminine? So if we wanted to say a great hand, it would be the feminine ending, gedolah, because yad is feminine, gedolah. All right, go back to number 5, the word for tongue, lashon. Lashon, which of those would go with tongue? Is tongue feminine or is it masculine? Well, it's one of the exceptions. If you want to talk about an evil tongue, you would give the feminine ra'ah, ra'ah. All right, and number 7, the word for house is bayit. Bayit, is that masculine or is that feminine? If you want to say a white house, what kind of adjective do you put with it? A masculine or feminine adjective? Well, in this case, you put the masculine lavan, because that the word bayit, even though it has the tav ending, is not feminine but masculine. And then number 8, we'll go ahead and do that one as well. We got the word regel, and then if we want to talk about a small foot, would we use the masculine or feminine? Well, we asked the question, regel means foot. Do we have that in pairs? Yes, so that would be feminine. So ketana would be the answer for that, because we do have that in pairs. All right, then on the top of page 78, it says to give the appropriate form in the present tense of each of the following verbs. All right, now when we look at this particular exercise and we want to work on these present tenses, let's go over to the board and work on what they're asking us to do right here. First of all, we have the word ani. Go way over here so I can get everything on the board. All right. Ani. With the verb. That would be like that. Whereas we want to make it a feminine, it would be ani. Put that composite shava underneath there. All right, how do we take? We take our triliteral root, we make it feminine. So basically we do the same thing. We put the sign of the present cal imperfect in there. So we've got that in there, and we just need to put some segals in there, and that takes care of that. That's a hard G. Put our dagesh in there. All right, so that's an example of number 1. All right, number 3, it's wanting us to take the word they, which is masculine plural, him, and use the verb stand. Oh, medim. All right, that's how you would answer number 3. And number 5, we're wanting to take ought, which you'll recall is feminine singular, and use the verb to sit, dwell, and we say, what's that? That's yashav. All right, but I want to make it present, so I'll add my holum in there, and then my feminine ending tav in there. And so all I need to do is put 2 segals in there. That's what we have with most of these. Okay, number 7. We want to take, on this particular one, the word for we, both masculine and feminine, anaknu. Make sure your heth joins up there at the top. Always check your writing when you're writing Hebrew, and make sure that you haven't gotten sloppy in the way that you write these things. You may be saying, yeah, sloppy like my teacher here, but we try to keep it written right. Okay, so we've got make the halak to walk or to go, and would be halkim, halkim, like that. So we are walking. And of course with this one we need to do the same thing with the feminine. Alright, so we put anak nu down again. Anak nu. Put our composite shava. Anak nu. And now we take the same thing, only we're going to make it feminine. Alright, how would you do that? Once again, we're remembering our triliteral root. And we go ahead and add the feminine ending onto that. Put 2 composite shavas right there. And we got it. Alright, and then we'll do one more of these together. And you need to go back and do these yourself, but also do the evens as well. We'll take the word you, that's feminine plural that we have there, which is 10. Put the dagesh in there. And then we'll add our appropriate verb. Okay, there's our triliteral root. Then we add the feminine ending to that. And that's the way that looks. Alright, that gives you an example of these on the top of page 78, lesson D. Alright, now the next thing that it asks us to do is to read aloud and translate the following into English. Alright, we have this, we'll put it on the screen, and you can follow along with me and see how well you're doing on your reading and your translating. Anak nu oklim min hayad el hape. Alright, that translated means we are eating from the hand to the mouth. We are eating from the hand to the mouth. Alright, number 3. We got Rachel lo medet min ha sefer. Alright, this means Rachel learns from the book. Alright, notice the lamedet. Lamedet is feminine. That agrees with Rachel since we've got a feminine subject there. Alright, and number 5, we've got Okel haben ha-chatan im ha'em va'im ha'av. Alright, this would be translated, the little son is eating from, or eating with the mother and with the father. The little son is eating with the mother and with the father. Alright, now we'll go back to the chalkboard and work together a little bit on F. What they ask us to do on F here is to translate the following into Hebrew without vowels. Alright, number 1, we are to say, I am, the man says, I am the king. Alright. He is saying, who is saying? The man. I'm not putting any vowels in there, even though I did up there. The man saying, I, the king. Just like that. Simple enough. Don't even worry about the vowels. You should be able to look at that all by itself and recognize what it is that we're saying. Alright, let's take a look at number 3. The uncles are learning and the aunts are writing the songs. That's what we want to say. So, let's get our verb lamad to learn. Lo Madim. Learning. Who's learning? The uncles. The Dodim. The uncles are learning. And the aunts are writing. We'll get our verb first. The verb goes before the subject. Are learning. The aunts writing the songs. Okay, that'd be Shay. Reem. All right, you say, now what is this thing here? We haven't learned what that is yet. It's et. It is a sign of the direct object, and that's going to be one of your favorite things in learning Hebrew with time. When you say, well, what is it that's receiving the action of the verb? What is it that the ants are writing? The songs is what they're writing. And this, it doesn't translate, but it does show you that this is what's receiving the action of the verb. All right? And then we have one more there on the number 5. It says, Sarah is a good woman. We write this without vowels. Sarah, a woman, is good. That'd be Tova. Sarah's a good woman. She gives. Na. That'd be no. I keep putting that. She gives. Make. She is the one that's giving. Flowers. That's a masculine word. She's giving flowers to the children. There. Just like that. All right. That gives you a good idea of some of the things that we're doing there on lesson number 39 and some of the exercises you need to work on. Once again, get to the point where you're able to do these things. You're able to sit down and write them down. You've got your vocabulary down well enough, and it's really not all that important for you to have to go back continually. So it's not important for you to have to go back continually and get these things worked out, but rather what you're able to do is just sit and write them down. You know the pointing, you know the vowels, and you know what these words mean. And once again, work on this, and when you have this down, then we'll proceed on to lesson number 14. Keep up the good work.